How y'all doing, everyone? My name is Kepra, and today we're going to talk about shoes. I want to start by asking a question. Are shoes contributing to your health? Are they benefiting you, or are they killing you? And I can quickly say that they're killing you. Before we delve into that, I want to go into some of the things that have been happening. Most notably for me, the passing of a legend, Dick Gregory, Barbara Dick Gregory. Um, I did meet Dick Gregory a few times and exchange with him briefly, but the most memorable thing for me was, witnessing him in person as a teenager. This is more than almost 30 years ago, and he had a profound impact on my life. Introduced the whole concept of raw food eating. I mean, most people know him as either a comedian, an activist, civil rights, etc. But his impact on the health community, especially the black health community, is probably second to none. And certainly for me and the direction I was to go in my life, witnessing him at that time was life-changing. So definitely want to pay my respects, and he's definitely one of my heroes. The next thing I want to bring light to is the fact that we will be going on our annual trip to Jamaica next year. We're going twice. In February, November. So, just visit my website or my social media for more details on that. Here's a postcard I have, November. There's the dates on there. So if you're interested, shoot me an email, comment on this blog if you're interested, and I will get you to the right person to sign up. But let's get on to our subject matter, and that's shoes. Now, for me personally, shoes have always been significant, well, extra significant for me, and I could say that because, I grew up with flat feet. And anyone that has flat feet, I mean, there's different degrees of flat feet. My feet definitely didn't have any sort of arch whatsoever. I've developed a little bit of an arch in the last, 15 years with doing yoga. But growing up, I definitely had issues. And, one of the main issues is that because your foot is flat, it puts your ankle is not in the correct alignment with the rest of your foot and knee. So therefore, it can cause knee pain, and it can definitely cause ankle and heel pain, which is, I experience all three. And if it's left unchecked, it can really damage the whole structure of your body. So it's a very serious thing. So, being flat-footed growing up, I was always aware of my feet. And, I always had jobs where I was on my feet, and just living with the pain of, being on my feet. It would be ankle pain, it would be heel pain, all the things. It was something that I just learned to deal with. Eventually, I did get a chance to see a podiatrist, which is a foot doctor, and get special inserts, and was told that I would have to wear these for the rest of my life. Now, when I started doing yoga, as I mentioned a little earlier, yoga sort of freed me from those. Yoga definitely focuses on alignment. It focuses on, balance. You're doing yoga barefooted, and you're stretching your ankle, you're stretching your feet, you're strengthening your feet. Which is another thing about shoes, is that shoes weaken your feet. They not only weaken the structure of your feet, but they just literally they soften your feet. They make your feet soft. So the thing is that, with shoes, there's multiple issues with shoes, multiple problems with shoes, with wearing shoes. Most significantly is wearing shoes out. Anytime we walk outside, of course you're going to put on your shoes. That's usually the last thing. Most people have a shoe rack at the door, and shoes is like the last thing you put on. So the thing is, like, shoes is definitely a huge part of our society. It is, of course, taboo not to wear shoes. Even homeless people have shoes. One of the things that, in our society is, if someone doesn't have shoes, it's like they are just so dire and so without. It's almost worse than not having food if you don't have shoes. So the thing about wearing shoes is that, as they can be seen as something that I guess ultimately is good, they actually, when you really stop to think and look at all the things that they really contribute to in terms of not only our foot health, but our physical health and spiritual, mental, etc., are they really helpful in the end? And I would definitely say no. Now, back to my story. Starting out flat feet, it affected me playing sports. It affected me working. Because at that time, I was always working in kitchens. So, kitchen work is very much standing, walking, and it's always something where, you're on your feet for long periods of time. So, that pressure on your feet is going to create stress on your ankle. It's going to create stress throughout your whole body. And, this past summer, and again, the yoga has been a tremendous help, because that freed me from the orthotics. Like I said, I haven't worn orthotics in definitely over the last 10 years. And that's been a blessing, for sure. But now, this summer, I realized I could take my foot, not only my foot health, but my overall health to another level with just not wearing shoes at all. And I had an experience over a weekend last month. I was doing a yoga event, and I just had the opportunity. The first day, I was working, and I could feel the pressure in my ankles and my feet, and something just told me, take off your shoes. And 1 hour turned into 4 hours, turned into the whole day. I didn't have my shoes on, and that day and the next day, I didn't have any pain. I didn't have any pain in my ankle. I didn't have any pain in my feet. I didn't feel no stiffness. Now, that was for, I believe, 2 reasons. And mind you, I'm walking on concrete. I'm walking on floor, grass, etc. One reason I feel like, is because, for one, your foot is free. When we're wearing shoes, even if we're wearing flip-flops to a certain extent, and I'm going to get into that, but when we're wearing shoes, your foot has become so limited. If you can imagine, if you wore a shoe for your hand, you just can't even imagine that. Even a glove, when you put on a glove on your hand, it disrupts your sense of touch. You can't feel, that to have your skin touch something, that's a sense. And to not have that, we become so conditioned to wearing shoes that, when we look at our hands and our feet, as being almost equivalent. I like to say our hands are our feet, and our feet are our hands. So sometimes it's useful to wear gloves, when it's like extremely cold, or, I usually wear gloves if I'm out and I know I gotta lift a lot of boxes. Just lifting boxes a whole lot with the type of work that I do becomes useful to wear some gloves. Now, I don't wear them all through the day. I don't wear them at night in the bed going to sleep. So the thing is like, for the most part, my hands are free. Can we say that about our feet? Are our feet, for the most part, free? And definitely for the most of us, that is definitely not the case. If we're wearing, very restrictive, hard shoes, that's even worse. Because what ends up happening is that, again, the hands are feet and the feet are hands. On our hand, we have fingers. And, as you can see, I could easily spread my fingers and I can flex my fingers back and forth and have a lot of mobility. We lose that mobility with our toes. Our toes, we should be able to do the same thing. We should be able to open up our toes, flex our toes back and forth, and be able to, use our feet almost in the same way that we use our hands. So the thing is that, with wearing shoes, especially shoes that are very restrictive, what happens, instead of having 5 toes, we end up only having 1 toe. And we can see this with some elders who take off their shoes and their toes are all stuck together and they're pointing almost in one direction. Or they come to the point, they basically take the shape of the shoes that you normally wear. So that's a big issue. The hand, the feet, just like the hands, have lots of bones, lots of ligaments and muscles, and different tendons that get that not end up getting used. So what ends up happening is that has a direct relationship with everything else in the body. As I mentioned, our feet are definitely our wheels. It's our foundation. I don't think it's a coincidence that the bottom of our feet is called the sole. The soul. And I think there's a connection between the sole of our feet. And I'm going to get into that later when we talk about the earth. Because, like I said, if you walk outside with no shoes on, it's almost like you being naked. And even for me today, as I'm practicing more and more to walk outside shoeless with nothing on my feet and no flip-flops either. Let's discuss flip-flops for a second. Now, flip-flops are going to certainly be better, a step in the right direction. Where your foot at least is getting some air, it can breathe, it can move around, you can spread your toes. However, the problem with flip-flops is that usually most flip-flops have a rubber sole, and just like most shoes, with that rubber disconnects us from really the most important thing, and the most destructive thing that shoes are doing is that it's disconnecting us from Mother Earth. Now, the sun, symbolically, astrologically, is the father of our universe. The earth is our mother. And when we disconnect from Mother Earth, as most of us are, we never have that skin-to-skin contact. Just like a baby and a mother, there's any midwife, any nurse should know the importance of the baby having that skin-to-skin contact with the mother. It's a healing connection. And just in the same way that a baby and a mother can have that same bond, we are the children of this earth, of this planet. And that same potential exists when we allow our feet to touch the grass, to touch the soil, to touch the concrete. the earth emits an electrical charge that produces a healing effect in our body. This is science, and one of the things that has developed is this whole concept of what we call earthing. There's a book called Earthing. Like I said, I read this book a few years ago, so I've been familiar with the concept, and I've written about it. But this summer was almost a life-shifting experience for me on a whole nother level with this concept, because it was really the first time for consecutive days I had been barefoot. Number one. I mean, for my whole life, I've always either put on at least flip-flops. So, and now, I'm a big proponent. I love the 5-finger shoes as well. But again, the 5-finger shoes break. They have that rubber sole, and they disconnect us. So really, in terms of this whole earthing energetic concept, really the only quote-unquote shoe that would not disconnect us is something that is either made of like leather, like a moccasin, or something that has a carbon sole, because carbon is conductive of the earth. It doesn't block the earth's energy. So, with this earthing concept, this is so huge and so deep because, like I said, I didn't have any pain. Now, when we look at our feet, we can, for my acupuncturists, people do acupuncture, acupressure, reflexology. When we study the feet, or we look at the chart of the feet, we see that the feet is connected to every major organ in the body. Okay? When we walk, when we touch the earth, barefooted, not only are we providing that energetic electricity, that healing electricity, because electricity, it just is. Now, when electricity is unbalanced, as in our, like this computer, it's emitting a certain radiation that is not balanced. Now, the whole grounding or earthing concept was created to balance out electrical energy in the home. That third, in older homes where they have older sockets, it only has those 2 lines. Okay, modern electricity or more modern electrical devices have the two lines with the hole. That's a grounding. That hole actually is there's a line from that hole that leads to the earth. Okay, and the significance of that is a safety issue. It provides a certain level of protection for our electrical devices, and it's interesting because it's like our electrical devices are better off than we are. What about our protection from the electricity, the electric radiation that's being emitted? The electricity that's emitted from the earth is a healing electricity. The electricity that's emitted from your computer, from your cell phone, is something that is causing, that can cause inflammation. And inflammation is going to be the root of most of your diseases. So it's going to be important to one of the most important things you can do is to begin to try to work out a way to become to walk barefoot, at least 1 day a week. You can do 1 day a week. You can do an hour a day. These are all things that I'm working on. Because I saw the power of doing it for 2-3 days in a row. And to not have no pain and to be on my feet. If for hours on end and not feel any issue after over 30 years, every single day. I'm aware of my feet. I'm aware of the pain when I walk. I can feel some pain in some bone and some ligament and some issue with my feet. You know, so this concept of earthing, and they have earthing products, and for the most part, I like them. You know, but it cannot substitute. You know, of course, you can go online and you pay for those things, and you're paying for that convenience because you plug those into that grounding port, and it does connect you to the Earth's energy, and those things do work. But there's no substitute for what is right outside your home. It's free, barefoot, you can touch the earth with the sole of your feet. You know. I think they even have earthing shoes and earthing sandals and things of that nature. But it's so important. I think the best way is the way that nature designed us, barefoot. Because the other thing that, we can have the convenience of earthing products, but one of the things that walking barefoot does too is toughen your feet. Earthing products are not going to toughen you up to the earth's energy. When you stepping on stones and rocks and concrete and things like that, speaking of the reflexology of the foot, when you toughen up the foot, you're toughening up the whole internal organ system. We have to toughen up our feet. At least we should aspire to do that. Because we toughen up our feet, we strengthen, maybe toughen is not the right word, but we strengthen our feet, we strengthen our heart, we strengthen our lungs, we strengthen our intestines, our digestive fire. We're just much better off. So, dirt is not dirty. Chemicals are dirty. Don't be afraid to touch the dirt. Don't be afraid to walk barefooted. I know you can't go out to the store and be barefooted, but join me. My challenge is shoeless Sundays. Every Sunday I try to go shoeless the whole day. So join me. That's my challenge. That's all I have for right now. Again, join me for my retreat. Join me on social media. I'm on Instagram at Chef Kepra, at Kepra's Raw Food Juice Bar, Facebook, Kepra Anu. Appreciate your comments. Appreciate you watching. Give me some feedback. One love. Peace.